Hello again everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are back for another British Midland service, and this time we're going to be heading out in the PMDG 737-600. As you can see, I have commissioned another superb British Midland Diamond livery, this time for the 600. As always, you can find the livery available over on Flightsim.to, and I'll leave a link down in the video description below. Anyway, we're operating an early morning service bound for Ireland. We've got about 120 passengers on board the jet. We're going to be cruising our way over at flight level 280. The forecast for Dublin wasn't too flash, but holding Belfast as the alternate, the weather looking absolutely fine there. So just ahead of the boarding, we loaded 5.2 tons of Jet A1 on board our 737. We'll head for the flight deck. Boarding should just have completed, so we're ready here to run through our before start checks. As always, ladies and gents, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, then please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. So here we are, very early morning on stand 20 here at East Midlands Airport. We've just had the ramp agent come on board the aircraft, told us that all of the passengers are now boarded. We're just closing up the aircraft doors. We are pretty much ready for the start, but we'll just run through a quick briefing here to get everybody in the loop. So coming down to the CDU and the route page, you can see we are currently on the ground at East Midlands, bound for Dublin. Midland 476 for the call sign, departing off runway 09. We're going to be departing via the Trent 3 past Sid. That takes us out towards the Trent VOR. We're then picking up the Quebec 4 airway out towards waypoint Vabka. Then the Upper Lima 8 to Asnip, Upper Lima 28 to Leldo, and finally the Mike 145 airway out towards Bagso. From Bagso we're going to be joining the Bagso 1 Kilo arrival for the ILS 16 in towards Dublin. In terms of the takeoff, it's a flaps 5 takeoff this morning, and V1 122, VR 122, V2 129. In terms of the Trent 3 departure then, it is plate 10-3 Echo. It's a conventional SID, primarily based off the Trent VOR. That has us tracking off runway heading out towards the departure end of the runway, and once we're at the departure end above 810 feet, making a right turn out to 095. We're tracking the heading there out to 1.5 DME off the India Echo Mike Whiskey DME, and then making a left turn inbound towards Trent. In terms of our altitudes, we need to be above 3,000 feet, 15 miles from the VOR, up at 6,000 feet by 8 miles from Trent, and maintaining 6,000 until we're cleared higher by air traffic. Transition altitude is 6,000 feet as well, so we'll stay on the current QNH until we are cleared higher above 6,000. And on that note, we'll just come into hectopascals there on the QNH. Current QNH 1014 hectopascals. In terms of the terrain, the highest sector MSA 2,700 feet. Weather, as you can see, nil significant there. We've got a slight headwind off runway 09, so beautiful conditions for our departure. It may not be the same though, as I mentioned, for our arrival. So lastly, just in terms of the setup, we've got the 307 radial setup inbound towards Trent, and on both nav1 and nav2 we have the Trent VOR tuned. That just about caps off the briefing, so we'll just run through the last of our before start flows. So departure briefing is complete, load sheet has been acknowledged. Fuel, we have 5.1 tons of fuel on board the aircraft, 5.2 on the flight plan. We've had the APU running for some time here on the ground, so that accounts for the slight reduction there in our fuel. Fuel pumps can go on. We don't need the centre tank pumps, as you can see the centre tank is currently empty. So fuel, crossfeed is closed, pumps are on, quantity is checked. FMC has been loaded, thrust, speeds and stab trim are set. For the push and start flows, electrical is set as required, passenger signs are on, hydraulics are set, doors and windows are closed, beacon is on, transponder is set to TARA, and just setting up the air, the packs can come off, leaving the APU bleed on for the start. Running then through our before start checks, fuel, once again the pumps are on, quantity is checked, passenger signs are on, windows are closed and locked. MCP we have V2 129, heading 095 and altitude 6,000 feet. Takeoff speeds, we have V1 122, VR 122 and V2 129. CDU pre-flight has been completed, rudder and aileron trim are 3 and 0. Taxi and takeoff brief is complete. We'll talk about the taxi on the way out. Flight deck door is closed and locked. And the anti-collision light is on. That's the before start checklist complete. No need for a push today, we're just going to be taxiing straight forward off the stand. We are now cleared for the start. We'll be starting the number 2 first, so the start switch can go to ground. There's N2 rotation. So as usual, just waiting till we see that come up to around 25%. And then the start lever on the number 2 can go to the idle position. And there's 25%. And start lever 2 to idle. There goes the EGT, so good light off on the number 2. And just monitoring that as the engine spools up, making sure we don't get a hot start. We do have start valve open, we're expecting to see that extinguish around 56% N2. And we have N1 rotation. Low oil pressure warnings out. There's 56%, you can hear the starter cut out. And a good start there on the number 2, the engine's stable, starting the number 1. Start valve open. N2 rotation.
Ryanair 234 Zulu, climb flight level 370, route direct to Balmain.
Ryanair 234 Zulu.
Ryanair 234 Zulu, route direct to Balmain.
And there's our 25%. So start lever to idle. There's our light off.
Easy 65901, climb flight level 350. Climb level 350, easy.
Low oil pressure warning extinguished. M1 rotation. And again, just monitoring that EGT until the engine's stable.
Britannia 713 Bravo, contact London 127.87. Bye-bye.
There's starter cut out.
London 127.87.
And looks like we have 2 good starts. So generators can go on. Just check the output there of both of those. And everything looking good. pitot heats are on. Anti-ice is not required, so that can stay off. Air conditioning and pressurization. We'll take the engine bleeds on. APU bleed can go off. Packs can go back to auto. Start levers. We're in the idle position. Ground crew clearance has been received. Generator output's good, so the APU can come off. And the flaps. It's flaps 5 takeoff as discussed, so we'll set flaps 5. There's flaps 5. Verify takeoff speeds we can clear. We're just waiting there till we see flaps 5 indicated with the green light.
London, good afternoon. It's Olympic 411 and 360.
Olympic 411, London, good afternoon.
So we have flaps 5 indicated and green light. For taxi checks then, generators are on, pro-peats are on, anti-ice is off, isolation valve is set to auto, engine start switches are set to continuous, recall has been checked, auto brake is set to RTO, engine start levers are in the idle detent, and holding the checklist there at the line, we'll check the flight controls as we taxi out. So clear for the taxi, taxi light can go on. Again, just discussing the taxi here as we make our way out. So we're currently on central apron. We'll be making a left turn here on Romeo, and then left onto Alpha, all the way down to holding point Golf 1 for runway 09. So we'll go for the taxi, taxi lights on, we'll get the runway turn off lights on there as well. Park brake can come off. And all clear on the left, all clear on the right.
Ryanair 234 Zulu, contact Brest, channel 132.830, bye.
32830, Ryanair 234.
Again, initially just joining straight ahead here onto the apron, you can see the taxiway line leading off around to the left.
Thompson 205, resume my navigation direct to Barmaid.
Transducer direct Barmaid 205, thank you.
Using some freeway scenery here for East Midlands, available on Flightsim.to. It's a nice effort, I have to say, but quite surprising that no payware developer yet has tackled East Midlands Airport. I'm hoping we'll see that in the not too distant future. So keeping a really good eye here on our taxi, making sure we stick to the taxiway line. We've got pretty minimal clearance here as we come out on Romeo between the light pole there and our wingtip. We do have sufficient wingtip clearance though. So all clear on the right. You can see the sun coming up there out to the east. Should be a pretty beautiful morning departure here out of East Midlands. And as we said, joining left onto taxiway Alpha.
London control Alpha 068, good afternoon, 290 climbing to 31.
Alpha 068 London.
So now we just take Alpha all the way down to the holding point for runway 09. Continuing with our taxi checks, we'll come onto the systems display and checking our flight controls. We have full up, full down, and neutral, full left, full right, and neutral. Not checking the rudder here as we're currently taxiing. So flight controls have been checked, clearance has been obtained. That's our taxi checklist complete.
Airfile 068, climb flight level 320.
Running through the before takeoff flows then, the engine start switches are set to continuous, flight controls have been checked, transponder is set to TARA, vital data is set. We'll just clean up the lower display unit there as well. Flaps once again, we have 5 indicated with a green light. So just continuing our taxi here down towards Gulf 1, we'll just finish up the rest of our takeoff checks down at the holding point.
Good afternoon, just at 860 Delta, flight level 360 to Ammo.
Jet 860 Delta, was that you?
What is?
Thank you, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Easy 6591, resume my navigation direct to Coxie.
Direct Coxie, easy 6591.
Baby 20 Echo route direct Southampton. Southampton, baby 20.
Okay, so just coming up on the holding point for runway 09, we've been cleared for the takeoff, the landing lights and the strobe lights are on. Running through our before takeoff checks, we have flaps 5 indicated with a green light, stabiliser trim, we have 6.6 units set, and that's the before takeoff checklist complete. All clear on final, and clear on TCAS as well. Runway 09 is confirmed.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Whiskey, climb flight level 290. Climb flight level 290, Lufthansa 2 Mike Whiskey.
And we'll just get ourselves lined up here on runway 09.
Lufthansa 1 kilo report speed 20130.92, goodbye.
Coming up on the thrust levers, letting the engine stabilise at 40% N1. And take off. N1 toga, thrust is set. That's checked. We have throttle hold. Coming back on the yoke. And we do have positive rate, gear can come up. we'll take LNAV on the lateral guidance. Coming right onto the heading of 095. And we'll come into VNAV and we'll take Command A. Says command, we have N1 VNAV speed. Thrust just rolling back towards climb thrust. And the aircraft there just pitching the nose down so we can start accelerating and cleaning up. So maintaining our heading 095 for now. That's going to take us out towards 1.5 DME. We should start the left turn momentarily, which you can see we've now commenced. Looking good there on the speed, we'll come through to flaps 1.
British 940, just still require the restriction of 290 by Peacock. British 940 negative. Easy 6147, climb flight level 300. Climb flight level 300, easy 6147.
And speed is checked, we'll go flap 0. Water brake can come off, landing gear can go back to the off position. Flaps are indicated up. Start switches can go back to off, and we'll get rid of the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights there as well. So accelerating out to 250 knots, tracking inbound towards Trent. You can see there showing 19 miles to run towards the station, and 2,000 feet further here in the climb. The after takeoff flows then, the engine bleeds are on, packs are set to auto. Engine start switches are set as required, flaps are up, no lights, landing gear is up and off, and altimeters, again we're just going to stay here on the QNH of 1014 until we're cleared high by air traffic. It says FMC speed, VNAV out. And just running through the after takeoff checklist itself, so engine bleeds are on, packs are auto, landing gear is up and off, and the flaps up, no lights, after takeoff checklist complete. So as I say, we'll maintain 6,000 feet for the time being, just waiting until we're cleared up higher by air traffic control. Showing now 14 miles to run, inbound towards Trent. And just maintaining 250 knots as well for the time being. Should just be coming up over the town of Derby, just off our left wing. You can see Derby just below us. So we'll be tracking out to the north of Derby, out towards the north of Stoke-on-Trent, and then passing just out over the north of Liverpool as we make our way out over the English coast. We'll assume now air traffic control has given us further climb, straight up to cruising altitudes to flight level 280.
Kestrel 7084, turn left heading 010 degrees, descend now flight level 220.
Heading 010, descend flight level 220, Kestrel 7084.
So we have 280 set. We'll just go to data here as well. Shortly clearing the restriction here, but we'll come into level change for now for the climb. So we have N1 MCP speed. And again, flight level 280 indicated there on the PFD. Just come out through transition. So we'll go standard on the altimeters. And we have standard set and cross-checked. Climbing away again now, no weather around, so we'll let the cabin crew up and they can start working.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Whiskey, climb flight level 310, turn left heading 110 degrees.
And just waiting now till we come up through 10,000 feet, and then we'll start accelerating up towards our target speed there, 293 knots.
Lufthansa 2 Mike Whiskey, climb flight level 310.
Climb flight level 310, Lufthansa 20.
4 miles now to run towards Trent. And once again with the 737-600 just climbing like an absolute rocket here. We've even got a D-rate here on the climb as well. There's 10,000, landing lights can come off. And again we're looking for 293 knots.
London Private Air 403 is with you, sir, radar heading 135.
Private Air 403, London, climb flight level 290.
And coming overhead Trent now, so we've cleared our restriction, we'll come back into VNAV. So we're at VNAV speed. Next waypoint, Listo, showing 20 miles to run there.
Reclear flight level 290, 390 would be nice, sir.
Just coming down to the progress page. So we've got just under 200 miles to run towards Dublin. Obviously a pretty short flight here today. So with that being said, weather's pretty clear for now. Looks like there's a bit of weather out towards the coast, but we're going to be clear of that. So we'll take the seatbelt signs back to auto.
Lufthansa 2, Mike, Whiskey report, radar heading to London 127.
Maintaining our speed now. Once again we've got that really cracking rate of climb, 3,300 feet per minute rate of climb.
Lufthansa 2, Mike, Whiskey report, radar heading
So 190 miles to run towards Dublin. Looks like we're going to be arriving with 3.4 tons. In terms of our flight plan, we're holding Belfast as the alternate today. We need 2.3 for Belfast, so we've got about an extra 1.1 tons. That's giving us around an extra 30-35 minutes of fuel. So things looking pretty good for our arrival into Dublin. As mentioned during the introduction there is potentially quite a bit of weather around. It looks like it's going to be fairly low visibility, possibly some low cloud and rain as well going into Dublin. For now though, we'll continue our way up towards our cruising flight level. We can discuss more about that as we start setting up the aircraft for the arrival into Dublin.
David 20 Echo, contact London 129.42, goodbye.
2914, baby 20 Echo, goodbye.
Easy 6147, resume navigation, Clacton, contact London 133.45.
13345 to London, direct Clacton, easy 6147.
Gestal 7084, resume navigation, Hemel, contact London 130.92, goodbye. Private Air 403, resume navigation, Benbow, contact London 135.32, goodbye.
Benbow and 13532, sir.
London Control, good afternoon, Pakistan 791, out of 337 for 270 on course to Lima Alpha Mike.
Pakistan 791, London, roger.
And London Private Air 403,
53 Yankee X-ray vacate, Sierra 2, taxi Whiskey 1, hold short of runway 34.
Question, good morning, Logan 051, descending flight 130.
X-ray contact ground 118.
Contact ground 121, F53 Yankee X-ray. 051, and we're direct to Admiral.
Roger.
940 Charlie, established 10 right.
940 Charlie, roger, maintain 16, correction 180 on office 6 miles, contact tower 118.6, flight.
118.6, tower 118.6, radar 940 Charlie, thanks, bye.
My 10 right, you are cleared for takeoff.
Just a call from 0 right, approach 123.
So welcome back to the cockpit. We've just commenced our descent inbound towards Dublin. As you can see, passing through flight level 270 down to initially flight level 110. We'll start setting the aircraft up then for the arrival and we'll brief thereafter. As we discussed already, expecting the Bagso 1 kilo arrival for the ILS runway 16 in towards Dublin. For the ILS itself, we're looking at a frequency there of 111.5, so we'll tune that up on both nav1 and nav2. There's 111.5 on nav1. And the same there on nav2. Final approach course is 159.
Over 0
which we have set on my side.
To Nickel, Logan to 5-1.
And same there on the right. In terms of the minima, it should be good enough for the Cat 1 ILS, so that's a MDA of 420. And that's a Barrow minima.
Hello, Ryanair 940 Charlie, ILS 10 right.
Ryanair 940 Sierra Charlie, continue surface wind 160 degrees, 11 knots.
Continue Ryanair 940 Charlie.
And once again we have MDA 420 on the left, same on the right. Into the box, we've already got the flight plan set up for the arrival onto runway 16. You can see that there on the legs page, coming to init ref. And it's going to be a flaps 30 landing. That's a VREF of 127 plus a wind correction there of 5 knots, so looking at 132 for the approach speed. Descent path unachievable, we'll clear that for the time being. And once again, 111.5, 159 there on the course. So the box is set up for the arrival. We'll stay on the progress page for now, showing about 70 miles to run towards Dublin, coming through 22,000 feet. So that means we need about 88 miles to run. We are currently getting a little bit high here at the moment, so we'll take some speed brake.
Air 5 Golf, Mike.
That should help get the aircraft down. You can see we've got the cloud layer there below us. We're definitely going to be coming to that, so we'll take the engine anti-ice on. And we'll take the seatbelt signs on just a little bit early here to get everyone sat down, just in case we're going to get bumped around as we come through the cloud. In terms of the briefing then, once again expecting the Bagso 1 kilo arrival, that's plate 10-2 Bravo, it's an RNAV star. That takes us in from waypoint Bagso towards waypoint Adsis and then on towards Kerav. We need to be above 6,000 feet at Kerav, speed 230 knots. Currently still letting the aircraft fly in LNAV and VNAV, so that should take care of everything for us. Then onto the ILS for runway 16, that's plate 11-3. Once again the frequency is 111.5. India Alpha Charlie, final approach course 159. Aerodrome elevation 243 feet. That takes us down to the MDA of 420, and then if we need a misapproach it's climbing straight ahead to Delta Whiskey 007, up to a maximum altitude of 3,000 feet, left turn out towards Kerav, and then climbing up to 5,000 feet. Then joining the hold or as otherwise directed by air traffic. In terms of the terrain, the highest MSA out to the south of the airfield, that's 4,000 feet. Weather-wise, we'll get an updated forecast in just a moment, but as I mentioned during the introduction, the weather's not particularly flash in Dublin this morning, expecting low visibility. Obviously you can see we've got the cloud layer here, and probably some showers of rain as well as we make our way in towards the field. In terms of the landing, planning to land runway 16, and we'll roll right through to the end. There's no particularly good options in terms of a high speed exit. Just showing transition there on the PFD, but that's as per the flight level 180 in the States, so we'll hold off on transition for now. So as I say, rolling through to the end of 16 off at Bravo 2, we'll then park up somewhere on the south apron. Planning on using idle reverse. If it's particularly heavy rain or we land long, we'll go with full reverse. And for the auto brake, we'll go with auto brake 1 since we're rolling through towards the end. In terms of our alternate, again holding Belfast as the alternate. Still showing arrival with 3.4 tonnes, so once again we've got about an extra 30-35 minutes of fuel on board the aircraft. That's enough for another approach if we need to make a go around, otherwise we can start thinking about heading off towards Belfast itself. Coming up from 15,000 feet, that means we need 60 miles to run, showing 60 miles now. And showing that we're good there now on the VNAV pass, so we'll get rid of the speed brake.
Golf 3G uniform, that's copied, all the best.
So that's the briefing complete. Just coming up on 150. We've got the 6,000 or above restriction at Kerav, and joining onto the ILS at 3,000 feet. We'll set 3,000 now, and again we'll let the aircraft manage everything for us. So it's 3,000 on the PFD.
160,
And looking at the star, the transition is by air traffic. So we'll hold off on transition for now, we'll just get that updated forecast.
Over 051, descend altitude 5000 feet, QNH 1023 hectopascal.
So Dublin, we're currently showing 1507 on the wind, so favouring runway 16. 8,000 metres on visibility, so not too bad at the moment. Rain and drizzle in the area, a few clouds at 400 feet. Again, that shouldn't be an issue for the Cat 1. Scattered at 700 and broken at 1500, so we're expecting to come visual somewhere between 1500 and 700 feet. 15 degrees on the ground, QNH is 1010, and there's a tempo broken cloud at 1200 feet. So again, conditions not too bad overall, certainly suitable for the Cat 1 ILS. Well, we've got the QNH here, we'll set it now, so QNH is 1010.
Logan 051, contact.
A little bit fiddly there, 1010. And we have that set across the board. Briefing complete then, we'll start running through our descent checks and flows, so we'll check recall, air conditioning and pressurization. I did set that earlier on, that seems to have defaulted back to 0, but the landing elevation in Dublin itself is 243, so we'll set 250. So pressurization is set. Just coming again on the range here on the nav display. Briefing is complete, speeds are set, minima is set, auto brake is set. And for the descent checklist, pressurization, landing altitude 250, recall has been checked, auto brake 1, landing data we have VREF. Once again we do have the engine anti-ice on there, we'll hold off on the wing anti-ice so we can clear the message. So landing data, just coming back to the unit ref page, again we have a VREF 127 plus 5. And the approach briefing is complete. Coming into the cloud layer, you can see we do have quite a bit of rain there. OAT currently 12 degrees, hence the message, but we'll leave it on for now. And 10,000 feet, so 40 miles is what we need to run. We have bang on 40, so we're looking good in terms of profile. Speed just rolling back towards 250 knots. We'll just wait until we've got ourselves back to 250 and then we'll take the landing lights on. We can cycle the signs there as well.
Golf Kilo, Lima Yankee, that's copied, all that.
Okay, looking good on the speed. Landing lights are on. People do often point out that's not really accurate in the 7.3 since they do create a little bit of drag, but I just tend to stick with the procedures that I'm familiar with, so you'll notice I'll do that on most aircraft in the sim. Anyway, quite a bit of rain coming through this cloud layer, but overall it seems to be fairly smooth otherwise. Once again though, we've got the signs on, so the passengers are sat down. And down through 10,000 feet. Still nicely established here on VNAV path, and looking good as well in terms of gross aero check on our distance as discussed. So it's turning back out towards the west. Just coming through a break in the clouds. You can actually see the Irish coastline there down below us. So at the moment looking like conditions on the ground aren't too bad in terms of what the forecast suggested.
Julia, good day, descent flight level 100.
Descent flight level 100, Sherman 34 Julia.
Emirates 161, confirm cleared, high speed 320 knots below 1, flight level 100. Emirates 161, below flight level 100 you can reduce to standard speed, contact approach 121.1, goodbye.
121.1 and standard speed below flight level 100.
So we're just coming over the Irish coastline, passing through 5,500 feet, speed currently 230 knots, although the aircraft's just about to start decelerating here. And showing about 20 miles to run. We've got India Alpha Charlie identified in terms of the ILS, and 159 there on the course, showing 14 miles. Just to help the aircraft with the speed, we'll go flaps 5.
The descent flight level 100.
That should give us a little bit of drag, help the aircraft start reducing back towards approach speed. We'll aim to have the speed back around 180 knots here as we turn the corner, just to avoid overshooting the localizer.
161, QNH is 1023.
So we're flaps 5 indicated with the green light. On the approach checks, the altimeters, we have QNH 1010 set and cross-checked.
Scandinavian 30 Hotel, you ready?
April.
Scandinavian 30 Hotel, thank you.
So tracking inbound towards waypoint BAPTA. And we are now cleared for the approach. Again, we do have the ILS identified, so we can arm the approach. I was told apparently it's not standard procedure to arm up both autopilots on the 737, so we'll just go with a single Command A for the approach today. Again, just flying the Cat 1 and showing drag required after waypoint BAPTA. Again, we've got flaps 5, so hopefully we've catered for that. If we want to go flaps 15, then the speed limit there is 185 knots. Already back through that, so if we do need a little bit more drag there, we can take flaps 15. Pretty happy with the speed for now though, doing 170 knots. Actually just come into speed intervene here, keep the speed up a little bit here for the approach. Showing 14 miles to run.
Do you want us to go to Osbeck first, my contact November?
15 November, 8 firm, Osbeck.
And just coming through 4,000 feet or 4,300 feet. So looking good in terms of profile. Again, we're still on VNAV path, but just cross-checking. There's VOR Loc and glide slope. We have single channel MCP speed. Missed approach altitude, initially we said was 3,000 feet, that's set. We have 3,000 feet on the PFD. So we'll maintain 170 knots for now, maintaining that until around 7 DME. And we'll keep flaps 5 until we've taken the gear down at around 8 miles. About 10 miles out from the runway, that concurs with the ILS DME. Unfortunately, as is quite often typical in the sim, the live weather doesn't seem to quite match up with the real world conditions here. We don't seem to have 8Ks of viz. It's actually a pretty stunning day by the cloud cover.
Channel 340, 230 knots, channel 340.
So looking good on the low, good on the glide slope. In terms of our landing checks, start switches can go back to continuous. Speed brake is armed. I'll hold off on the landing gear, as I said, till around 8 miles, currently coming through 10 DME.
Approach hello to Shamrock, contact November 20, level 70 to Osbeck.
And just come in again on the range on the nav display. 10 miles to run towards the field. Once we come through this bank of cloud, we should be visual with Dublin. And sure enough, you can just about make out the terminal buildings there, just off the left of the nose. Can't quite make out runway 16 itself yet. There's 8 miles, so we'll take the gear down and check 2500.
MS 161, turn left, heading 190. Heading 190, MS 161.
Come back towards 160 knots. Now we have gear down 3 greens, we'll go flaps 15.
Yeah, Scandinavian 30 Hotel, 3,400, climbing 90 on that level 6 Echo.
Scandinavian 30 Hotel, good day.
And just maintaining 160 knots here till 4 DME.
Channel 340, descend and maintain 4,000 feet military activity. And maintain 4,000.
So nicely established, just waiting now till we take flaps 30, which again is our landing configuration. That will complete the landing checklist. It is a shame that the live weather still doesn't match up. I was actually quite looking forward to the approach with the lower visibility and potential rain. I'll probably have to give Rex Weather Force another go at some point. Can never quite get on with that in the past, but maybe it's worth checking out again. So again, looking for 132 knots for the approach. And we'll go flaps 30.
Good morning, runner 9 Echo Tango passing 2700 climb side of 90, runway track.
Runner 9 Echo Tango.
So we have flap 30 indicated with a green light, and that's the landing checklist complete. Speed just coming back towards the approach. Nicely established here on the centre line for runway 16. Looks like we've got a little bit of a crosswind out from the right. You can see that there just looking out the window, but also confirmed there on the nav display. Coming through 1,000 feet, we are stable. And we've got 2 reds, 2 whites on the PAPI.
120 runner 9 Echo Tango.
Skydiver 30 Tower, climb side of 120, contact Dublin 129 or 180, goodbye.
TCAS TA there, which is unusual. I keep getting those in the PMDG 737 despite not actually using any traffic. I'm not currently using multiplayer either. Anyway, we'll disconnect the autopilot. And we'll take out the auto throttle.
Bravo 120 and Dublin 129, decimal 180. Name and 30, that was right.
Just using a little bit of trim here just to ease up on the back pressure on the yoke.
Approaching minimums.
Looks like we just passed some birds there off the nose.
Minimums.
Okay, we'll continue. Off the throttles.
20, 10.
Okay, slightly long landing. We'll go full reverse as a result, although we've got plenty of distance here to actually get the aircraft slowed down since we're rolling through to the end. Just coming onto the brakes. And through 70 knots off the reversers. Vacating off to the left. So just vacating runway 16 onto link 2. Landing lights can come off. Get the runway turn off lights and the taxi lights on. Should have got those on with the gear down. Strobe lights can go off. Bring in the flaps.
Altitude 3,000 feet.
And retract the spoilers. Running through the after landing flows, pitot heats are off, engine anti-ice can go off as well. Looks like the stand off the nose is available, so we'll go straight in towards the terminal. So anti-ice is off. Air conditioning and pressurization is set. Engine start switches are off. Exterior lights are set. Just turning off the taxi and the runway turn-offs there to avoid blinding any ground crew. Flight directors are off. Auto brake is off, speed brake is up, flaps are indicating up. Weather radar is off, transponder, just leave here until we come onto the stand. And we better get the APU fired up here as well before we shut down the engines. Just come a little bit further forward. It is a shame that more add-on sceneries in the sim don't have visual docking guidance systems. Anyway, onto the brakes. Park brake is on. Running through our shutdown flows. Parking brake is set. Start levers. We can set to cut off as soon as the APU is available. Just waiting for that to finish spooling up. So overall, pretty happy with the landing there. We did land a little bit long, and I do seem to keep doing that in the 737. Obviously need to adjust my flare technique slightly, I would say there, but smooth enough landing, and since we were rolling through to the end of the runway, plenty of distance to get the aircraft slowed down. I think it was a good job there, though, that we went full reverse. Not the longest runway on 16. So APU's on the bus. Output looks good, so the start levers can go off.
Canadian 30 Hotel, flight level.
We have two good shutdowns. Anti-collision light is off. Seatbelt signs are off. Iris mode selectors are both off. Fuel pumps are set. Galley power will leave on. Electrical is set as required. Window heat, they're all off. Heater heats are off. Engine anti-ice is off. Hydraulic pumps are set. Air conditioning and pressurization. Take the APU bleed on. Engine bleeds can come off. Exterior lights are set. Flaps are up. Transponder is set to standby. And that's our shutdown checks complete. So there you go, everybody. I do hope you enjoyed our outing in our British Midland PMDG 737-600. Once again, I am really happy with how the livery came out. This one created by Whopperator, so a very big thank you to him for all of his hard work. As I mentioned during the introduction, the livery is available over on Flightsim.to. Again, I'll leave a link down in the video description. As I mentioned earlier, it is a bit of a shame that the conditions here in Dublin didn't quite match up with the real world. Nevertheless, I enjoyed the flight. I certainly hope that you did as well. Once again, if you did, please consider giving the video a like. If you want to see more content from the channel, then please consider subscribing as well. And if you'd like to help support the channel, as well as unlocking a few extra benefits, you can do so by becoming a channel member or patron. On that note, a very big thank you to my channel members and patrons for all of your support. It is thoroughly appreciated. I do hope that all of you are having a great day wherever you are. Take really good care, and I will see you all again soon.